My son looked me straight in the eye across the dinner table and said, "We're selling your house to pay for your care." Just like that. No discussion, no asking, just an announcement. I'm Claire and I'm 72 years old. I want to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your state in the comments because what I'm about to tell you happened right here in Sacramento, California. And it's going to show you that sometimes the quietest response is the most powerful one. That night, Derek, that's my son, had brought his wife Jennifer over for what I thought was just a regular Sunday dinner. I'd made pot roast, his favorite since he was 8 years old. I'd set the table with my good china, the set my late husband Tom had given me for our 25th anniversary. We were halfway through the meal when Derek cleared his throat in that way he does when he's about to say something he thinks is important. Jennifer put down her fork and folded her hands, and I knew something was coming. "Mom," Derek started, "Jennifer and I have been talking. You're getting older, and this house is too much for you." I took a sip of water, waited. "We think it's time to consider assisted living," Jennifer added, her voice dripping with false concern. "Somewhere you'd be safe, taken care of." I'd been a nurse for 43 years. I knew exactly what assisted living meant, and I knew what it cost. I also knew that my house, the one Tom and I had bought in 1978, was now worth $1.2 million. I'm not stupid. "We've already looked at a few places," Derek continued. "There's a nice facility about 30 minutes from us. It's only $6,000 a month." Only $6,000 a month. "And how exactly do you propose I pay for this?" I asked quietly. That's when he said it. That's when my own son, the boy I'd raised, the man I'd put through college, looked at me and said, "We're selling your house to pay for your care." Not, "We'd like to discuss options." Not, "What do you think about?" He said, "We're selling. Past decision. Done deal." And he emphasized your care, like I was some burden he was nobly shouldering. Jennifer nodded along, like this was perfectly reasonable. I looked at both of them. Really looked at them. Derek in his expensive suit, the one I'd helped him buy for his first real job interview 15 years ago. Jennifer with her designer handbag sitting on my floor, probably worth more than my monthly grocery budget. I set down my napkin, folded it carefully. "I see," I said. "We can list it next week," Derek pressed on. "The market's hot right now. We could probably get you moved within a month." "We." He kept saying "we" like he owned my house, like he owned my life. "And where exactly would I go while the house is being sold?" I asked. "You could stay with us temporarily," Jennifer offered, though her tone suggested she hoped I wouldn't. I nodded slowly. "Let me think about it." Derek smiled, clearly thinking. He'd won. "Great. We'll bring the realtor by on Wednesday." They left 20 minutes later. I watched Derek's BMW pull out of my driveway, and then I sat in my living room in the dark for exactly 10 minutes. Not crying, not panicking, thinking. You see, I hadn't told Derek everything about my life. There were things he didn't know. Important things. The next morning, Monday, I called my attorney. His name is Robert Chen. We'd gone to high school together a million years ago, and he'd handled Tom's estate when my husband passed. "Robert," I said when he answered, "I need to see you today. It's urgent." "Claire, everything okay?" "My son wants to sell my house out from under me and put me in a home." There was a pause. "I'll move some things around. Can you be here at 2?" I was there at 1:30. Robert's office smelled like old books and coffee, comforting and familiar. He listened to everything without interrupting. The dinner, Derek's announcement, the timeline they'd decided on without me. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. "Claire, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Do you want to move into assisted living?" "No." "Do you need assisted living?" "Absolutely not. I still drive. I still work part-time at the clinic. I garden. I'm on the neighborhood watch committee, for heaven's sake." He nodded. "Then here's what we're going to do." For the next hour, Robert laid out a plan. It was beautiful in its simplicity. The house is in your name only, he reminded me. Tom left everything to you. Derek has exactly 0 legal claim to it. I know. So when he shows up with this realtor on Wednesday, he's going to get a surprise. Robert pulled out some documents. But first, I need to ask you something. Do you remember Marcus, Sophia, and James? My heart squeezed. Of course I remembered them. 30 years ago, when I was in my early 40s and Derek was already in college, Tom and I had become foster parents. We'd always wanted more children, but after Derek, it just didn't happen for us. So we opened our home. Marcus came to us at 14, angry at the world, failed by every adult who was supposed to protect him. Sophia arrived at 13, so quiet you'd forget she was in the room. James was 16, already aging out of the system, convinced nobody would ever want him. They lived with us for years. We helped them through high school, celebrated their graduations. Tom taught Marcus how to drive. I helped Sophia apply to colleges. James called me Mom first, and it made me cry for an hour. What about them? I asked Robert. They called me last week, he said. They'd been trying to reach you, but you changed your cell number after all those scam calls, remember? I had. 6 months ago, after getting my 3rd call about my car's extended warranty. They're in town, Robert continued. And Claire, they want to see you. They have something to discuss. What kind of something? Robert smiled. The kind that's going to make Wednesday very interesting. That evening, I sat in Robert's conference room waiting. My hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, but from anticipation. I hadn't seen my foster kids in almost 5 years, not since James's wedding in Boston. The door opened, and there they were. Marcus walked in first, and I had to remind myself he was 44 now, not that angry 14-year-old who'd shown up at my door with a garbage bag of clothes and eyes that trusted no one. He wore a tailored suit and had gray threading through his temples. "Claire," he said, and his voice cracked, just like it used to when he was trying not to cry. Sophia came next, elegant in a way that made my breath catch. She'd been so small, so scared. Now she commanded the room. James brought up the rear, and he was grinning that same mischievous grin I remembered, though now it was framed by laugh lines and confidence. They didn't ask permission. They just hugged me, all 3 of them. And for a moment, I was back in my kitchen 30 years ago, making breakfast for 4, feeling like my heart might burst from fullness. Sit, Robert said gently. We have a lot to discuss. When we settled, Marcus spoke first. Claire, Robert told us what Derek's trying to do. It's nothing I can't handle, I started, but Sophia cut me off. No, she said firmly. You don't handle this alone. You never let us face things alone. James leaned forward. Do you remember what you told me the night I graduated high school? I was terrified about going to community college, about making it on my own. I did remember. I'd found him on the back porch, crying silent tears. I told you that family isn't about who shares your blood. It's about who shows up. Exactly, James said. So we're showing up. Marcus opened a folder. Claire, I need to tell you what we've been doing for the past 20 years. You know I went into tech after college. I nodded. He'd started as a programmer at some startup. That startup was acquired by Google in 2008, he continued. My stock options were significant. I took that money and started my own company. We developed cybersecurity software for healthcare systems. I stared at him. I sold that company 3 years ago, Marcus said quietly, for $800 million. The room spun slightly. Sophia picked up the thread. You helped me get into Berkeley, remember? Paid for my application fees when I couldn't afford them. I studied architecture, started small, designing community centers. Last year, my firm was hired to design the new terminal at San Francisco International Airport. And I, James said, took that cooking class you made me take because you said I needed to eat better than ramen. Turns out I was good at it. Really good. I now own 16 restaurants across the East Coast. I couldn't speak. We've all been successful, Marcus said, because you gave us a foundation. You gave us love when we had nothing. And now, Sophia added, we're going to give you something back. Marcus slid a document across the table. This is a deed to a property in Granite Bay about 20 minutes from here. 6,000 square feet on 2 acres. Guest house, pool, the works. I don't understand, I whispered. We bought it together, James explained. The 3 of us. We were going to surprise you next month for your birthday, but when Robert told us what Derek was planning. He shook his head. The timeline moved up. We want you to live there, Sophia said. Rent-free forever. There's a fully furnished guest suite that's yours. Or you can take the master. We don't care. But you're family, Claire, real family. My throat tightened. I can't possibly... You can, Marcus interrupted gently. And you will. Because here's what's going to happen on Wednesday. Derek is going to show up at your house with his realtor, but he's not going to find you there. Robert pulled out more documents. These are moving company contracts. They're coming tomorrow morning, Tuesday. Everything you want to keep, furniture, photos, personal items. They're packing it up and moving it to Granite Bay. But my house, your house, Robert said, is yours to do with as you please. We could sell it and the money would be yours. Or, he paused. We have another option. Sophia leaned in. There's a nonprofit I work with. They provide transitional housing for women leaving domestic violence situations. They're desperately looking for properties they can convert into safe houses. You could donate it, Marcus added. Take the tax deduction, which would be substantial, and your house, the one where you gave us safety, would keep giving safety to others who need it. The poetry of it struck me. My home, continuing to be a home. Tom would have loved that, I said, my voice thick with emotion. We know, James said softly. Robert slid a pen across the table. So here's what I need from you, Claire. Tomorrow, sign these documents. Let us move you. Let us take care of you the way you took care of us. I looked at these 3 people, my kids, because that's what they were, and I thought about Derek, my biological son who saw me as an asset to be liquidated, and these 3 who saw me as the mother who'd saved them. What about Derek? I asked. When he shows up on Wednesday. Let him, Marcus said, and there was steel in his voice I'd never heard before. Let him show up. Let him walk in with his realtor and his plans. We'll be there too. All of us, Sophia confirmed. With our attorney, James added, gesturing to Robert. It's all perfectly legal, Robert assured me. You're moving of your own free will to your family's home. Derek can't stop you. He can't claim anything. And when he realizes what he's lost, not the house, but you, maybe he'll learn something. I picked up the pen. Where do I sign? Marcus smiled, and it reminded me of the first time I'd seen him smile, really smile, about 6 months into living with us. Tuesday morning came with the kind of golden California sunshine that makes everything feel possible. The moving truck arrived at 8 a.m. sharp, and with it came Marcus, Sophia, and James. I'd spent the previous night going through my house, deciding what mattered. The photo albums, definitely. Tom's watch collection. My grandmother's quilt. The ridiculous ceramic frog Derek had made me in 3rd grade. Yes, even that, because I'm still his mother, even if he'd forgotten I was a person. This one? Sophia asked, pointing to Tom's reading chair. Yes, he spent 20 years in that chair reading mysteries. She labeled it carefully, tenderly. Like it mattered. We worked through the morning, and they told me their stories. Real stories, the kind you share over moving boxes and coffee. Marcus told me about his daughter. I had a granddaughter I'd never met, a 7-year-old named Claire who apparently asked about me constantly. I've been afraid, he admitted. Afraid you'd think I abandoned you when I got successful. Afraid you'd think I forgot. Never, I said firmly. Sophia showed me pictures of her wedding. She'd gotten married 2 years ago to another architect, a woman named Rachel. I wanted to invite you, but I lost track of you after you changed numbers. And I was worried. I don't know, that you wouldn't approve. I took her hands. Sophia, honey, I just want you happy. She cried then, and so did I. James, it turned out, had named his flagship restaurant Claire's Table. It's fine dining, he explained, But the whole concept is that everyone should feel welcome. Like sitting at your dinner table where it didn't matter if you were foster, biological, rich, or poor. You belonged. When did you open it? I asked. 8 years ago. You came to the opening, remember? I did. I remembered being so proud, so overwhelmed. I just hadn't known it was named for me. The sign had been an elegant script. I thought it said something else. It's been the most successful one, James said, because people feel it, the love. It's in the walls. By 2 p.m., the truck was packed. The movers had wrapped and loaded a lifetime of memories. The house echoed empty around us. I walked through one last time. The living room where Derek took his first steps. The kitchen where I'd taught Sophia to make pie crust. The back bedroom where Marcus had stayed up all night studying for his SATs. Ready? Robert asked from the doorway. Was I? This house had been my life for 47 years. Tom and I had chosen it together, argued over paint colors, planted the garden. Derek had grown up here, but Derek wanted to take it from me. And these three wanted to give me a home. I'm ready, I said. We locked the door. I left the key under the mat. Let Derek find it when he came tomorrow. Let him walk into empty rooms and realize what he'd done. The convoy pulled away from my house at 2:30. The moving truck, Marcus's Tesla, Sophia's Range Rover, and James's vintage Mustang. I rode with Marcus. The house in Granite Bay took my breath away. It sat on a gentle hill, surrounded by oak trees and manicured gardens, modern but warm, with huge windows that let in floods of light. The guest suite is on the east side, Marcus said as we pulled up. Morning sun, private entrance, full kitchen if you want it. But honestly, Sophia added, climbing out of her car, we're hoping you'll take the master. The view is incredible. They showed me through. The master bedroom had French doors that opened onto a terrace overlooking the property. There was a garden already planted, roses, tomatoes, herbs. James had that put in, Sophia whispered. He remembered you liked to garden. In the bathroom, someone had stocked my favorite lavender soap, the brand I'd used for 30 years. Marcus, I said, pointing. He shrugged, trying to look casual. I remembered. The movers arrived an hour later, and we spent the evening unpacking. Well, they unpacked. I mostly sat and directed, overwhelmed by the care they took with everything. Tom's chair went by the fireplace in the main living room. My photo albums filled a built-in bookshelf. Sophia hung my grandmother's quilt on the wall in the master bedroom like it was fine art. It is fine art, she insisted when I protested. Do you know how rare hand-stitching like this is? We ordered Chinese food for dinner, from one of James's restaurants, naturally. We sat around a table that fit all of us comfortably, and it felt right. It felt like family. Tomorrow, Marcus said as we ate, Derek's going to show up at your old house around 10 a.m. Robert confirmed with the realtor. And we'll be there, Sophia added. All of us. You don't have to, I started. Yes, James interrupted. We do. You faced down school principals for me when I got in trouble. You stood up to Marcus's social worker when she wanted to move him. You went to bat for Sophia with that scholarship committee. Now it's our turn, Marcus finished. That night, in my new bedroom, I lay in bed and thought about the strange path life takes. I'd married Tom Young, had Derek, lived what I thought was a simple, ordinary life. Became a nurse, helped people, fostered kids because we had extra rooms and extra love. I never expected those kids would become millionaires. That wasn't the point. The point was they'd needed a home, and we'd had one to give. But now, when I needed a home, they were giving me one back. I thought about Derek, my biological son, and how he'd looked at me across that dinner table, how he'd calculated my worth in dollar signs and square footage, how easily he'd decided to discard me. And I thought about Marcus, Sophia, and James, who'd spent 20 years making something of themselves and had never forgotten the woman who'd believed they could. If you're watching this and you've ever wondered whether kindness matters, whether showing up for someone makes a difference, this is your answer. It does. it comes back. Sometimes it comes back in ways you never expected. Wednesday morning, I woke up in my new home to the smell of coffee. Real coffee, the expensive kind. I found James in the kitchen, making breakfast. Couldn't sleep, he admitted. Too excited about today. Excited? He grinned. Claire, your son has been treating you like a burden. Today he finds out you're a queen and we're your royal guard. Yeah, I'm excited. Marcus came down at 7:30 in a suit that probably cost more than my first car. Robert wants us there by 9:45. Derek and the realtor are scheduled for 10. Sophia appeared in full power mode, tailored dress, heels that could be weapons, a leather portfolio under one arm. I've drafted a statement, she said. In case Derek tries to claim you're being coerced or manipulated, Robert's reviewed it. It's airtight. You all did this overnight? We've been planning this for a week, Marcus admitted. Ever since Robert told us what was happening. We just had to wait for you to say yes. The drive to my old house felt surreal. We took 2 cars, Marcus driving me in his Tesla, Sophia and James following in her Range Rover. Robert met us there at 9:40. Claire, he said, taking my hands, you okay with this? More than okay. Good, because it's going to be intense. We went inside. My house, still technically mine until the papers I'd signed yesterday were filed with the county. It was strange seeing it empty. Echoes where furniture had been, lighter patches on the walls where pictures had hung. You took everything, Marcus observed, looking around. Everything that mattered. Good, he said. Let him see what empty really looks like. At 9:55, we heard a car pull up, then another, Derek's BMW, and a Honda Civic with a realtor's logo on the side. Positions, Sophia said, like we'd rehearsed this. We hadn't, but somehow we all knew where to stand. Marcus, Sophia, and James in a line by the fireplace. Robert slightly to the side. Me in the middle of the living room, standing straight. The door opened. Derek had a key. I'd given it to him years ago for emergencies. He walked in talking, not looking. Should be able to list by Friday if she doesn't drag her feet about. He saw us and stopped mid-sentence. His face went through several expressions. Confusion, recognition, shock, and then something that might have been fear. Mom? He said. What's going on? Why is the house empty? The realtor, a middle-aged woman with an aggressive smile, looked around nervously. Hello, Derek, I said calmly. Where's your furniture? Did you already move it to storage? I told you we needed to stage the house. I moved it, I said, to my new home. What new home? Marcus stepped forward. The one we provided for her. Derek looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. Then at Sophia, then at James. Who the hell are you people? And that's when I felt it. That moment when everything shifts, when power changes hands. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next is going to show you exactly what happens when people underestimate the power of real family. Derek, I said quietly, these are your brothers and your sister. His face went blank. I don't have brothers or sisters. You did, I said. You just never bothered to get to know them. Marcus extended his hand. Marcus Thompson, I lived with your family from 1994 to 1998. You were in college most of that time. Derek didn't take the hand. The foster kids? You're the foster kids. That's right, Sophia said coolly. I'm Sophia Chen. I was here from 1995 to 2000. James Rodriguez, James added, 1993 to 1998. The realtor cleared her throat. Mr. Holloway, I'm confused. I thought we were here to list your mother's property. You are, Derek said, recovering slightly. Mom, this is ridiculous. These people can't just... These people, Robert interrupted, are Mrs. Holloway's family, and they've provided her with alternative accommodations. I'm Robert Chen, Mrs. Holloway's attorney. Derek's eyes narrowed. Mom, what is this? Did they put you up to this? Are they trying to get your money? I almost laughed. Derek, they have more money than I could ever dream of. They don't need mine. Much more, Marcus said, and there was an edge to it. My net worth is roughly $850 million. Sophia's firm bills $40 million a year. James owns 16 restaurants and 3 food production companies. Derek's mouth opened, closed, opened again. So when you thought you could sell our mother's house out from under her, Sophia continued, to fund assisted living she doesn't need, you made a critical miscalculation. You assumed she was alone, James added. The realtor backed toward the door. I think I should. This seems like a family matter. Stay, Derek snapped at her. Then to me, Mom, this house is worth over $1 million. You need that money for your care. I don't need care, I said. I need respect. I need a son who sees me as a person, not an asset. I'm trying to help you. No, Marcus said firmly. You're trying to help yourself. Claire showed us the numbers. That assisted living facility you picked, $6,000 a month. Her house would fund it for maybe 15 years if you're lucky. But coincidentally, $6,000 a month is also right around your current mortgage payment on that new house you bought. Derek's face went red. How do you... Public records, Sophia said. I'm an architect. I know how to research property. So let me guess, James said, stepping forward. The plan was to sell Claire's house, use some of the money to park her somewhere cheap while telling yourself it was nice, and pocket the rest to pay off your debts. That's ridiculous. Is it? Robert pulled out a document. Because I have your credit report here, Derek. Your leverage to the hilt. That BMW, leased, the house, underwater. You've got 3 credit cards maxed out. Derek looked at me, and for the first time I saw panic in his eyes. Mom, don't listen to them. I'm your son. And they're my children too, I said softly. The difference is, they act like it. The silence in that empty house was deafening. Derek stood there, his realtor shifting uncomfortably beside him, facing the reality of what he'd tried to do. You can't do this, he finally said, but his voice had lost its certainty. I'm your only family. You were never her only family, Marcus said. You just acted like you were. Sophia opened her portfolio. Let me tell you what's actually happening, Derek. Your mother has signed over the deed to this house, not to us. She doesn't need to do that. She's donating it to a nonprofit that provides transitional housing for domestic violence survivors. It'll be a safe house, I explained. A place where women who are escaping dangerous situations can rebuild their lives. This home gave safety to Marcus, Sophia, and James. Now it'll keep giving safety. You can't just give away $1 million property. Derek's voice rose. She absolutely can, Robert said. It's her property. She's of sound mind, which I can document thoroughly, and the tax deduction will be substantial. As for her living situation, James continued, she's moved into our home in Granite Bay, 6,000 square feet, fully paid off with a private suite that's hers for life. We've also established a trust, Marcus added. It provides Claire with a monthly stipend of $8,000 for personal expenses, healthcare, entertainment, travel, whatever she wants. Derek's face had gone from red to white. $8,000 a month? We can afford it, Sophia said simply. What we can't afford is to let someone treat our mother like a burden. Our mother, Derek repeated bitterly. She's my mother. Then act like her son, I said, and my voice was steady. Derek, I loved you from the moment you were born. I gave you everything I had. I put you through college. I helped with your first house down payment. I babysat your kids every weekend for 3 years. Mom, I never asked for anything back, I continued. But I also never expected you to look at me like I was a problem to be solved, like I was inventory to be liquidated. His jaw worked, but no words came out. You have a choice now, Marcus said. You can accept that your mother has family who loves her and will protect her, or you can walk away. But what you can't do is manipulate her, control her, or treat her like she's less than she is. The realtor cleared her throat. Mr. Holloway, I think we're done here. Derek looked at me one last time. Mom, please, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. You meant exactly what you said, I told him. At that dinner, you looked me in the eye and told me you were selling my house. Not asking, telling. You treated me like a child. I was trying to plan ahead. You were trying to cash out, James said bluntly. I think you should leave, Sophia added, her voice cold. Derek stood there another moment, then turned and walked out. The realtor scurried after him, murmuring apologies. We listened to his BMW start, heard it pull away, then Marcus started laughing. Did you see his face? When you mentioned the $800 million? Sophia grinned. Priceless. I almost felt sorry for him, I admitted as we stood in my empty house. Almost. Don't, James said firmly. He made his choice when he decided you were disposable. Robert packed up his briefcase. The nonprofit will take possession next week. They're thrilled, Claire. This house is going to help so many women. Good, I said, taking one last look around. That's what it should do. We locked up and headed back to Granite Bay. On the drive, Marcus got a call. I heard him say, Yes, bring her over. She should meet her grandmother. Your daughter? I asked when he hung up. She's been asking every day. My wife's bringing her over for dinner. That evening, I met little Claire. 7 years old with Marcus's eyes and a smile that could light up the world. She'd made me a drawing at school, a house with 4 stick figures labeled Grandma, Daddy, Sophia, and James. I put Uncle James last because he's silly, she explained seriously. Completely fair, James agreed. We had dinner around that big table. Marcus, his wife Patricia, little Claire, Sophia, and her wife Rachel, who drove up from the city, James and his girlfriend Teresa. Robert and his husband joined us too. Family. Real family. The kind you build, not the kind you're born into. Derek called 3 times that night. I didn't answer. He left voicemails, angry ones, then apologetic ones, then desperate ones. On the 3rd, he was crying. Mom, please, I made a mistake. I need to talk to you. Sophia saw me staring at the phone. You don't owe him anything. He's still my son. Then let him earn his way back, Marcus said gently. If he's really sorry, he'll prove it. Not with words, with actions. I thought about that. About how Marcus had proven his love by building a successful life and naming his daughter after me. How Sophia had proven hers by dropping everything to protect me. How James had proven his by creating a restaurant that embodied everything I'd tried to teach him about welcoming people. You're right, I said. 2 weeks later, the nonprofit took possession of my old house. They invited me to the ribbon-cutting ceremony. The first family moved in 3 days after that. A woman named Patricia with 2 kids, escaping a husband who'd put her in the hospital twice. I brought them groceries, helped them settle in, and I thought about how life has a way of coming full circle. Derek sent flowers on my birthday a month later. I sent a thank you note, short, polite, distant. He had a long way to go, but me. I wake up every morning in a beautiful house, surrounded by people who chose to love me. I garden. I volunteer at the clinic. I watch little Claire every Tuesday while Marcus and Patricia have date night. I'm 72 years old, and I've learned that sometimes the family that finds you is stronger than the family you're born into. My son saw me as a burden, but my real children, they saw me as a blessing, and that's made all the difference.